Well, I'm so glad to land in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia today, the diplomatic hub of Africa. We are here to make history, to attend the AU Summit, and also the African Youth Leadership Diplomatic Conference, where I'll be representing Uganda, and I'll present a paper on the refugee situation in the country. So as an African, I want to see an Africa where the young people are at the forefront of inspiring change in the continent. We want to see our women go to school. We want to see our men empowered. We want to see our communities prospering. We want to see our people eating well. We want to see our people going to school, having access to quality healthcare services, good infrastructure. We want to see our agriculture thriving in the continent so that people can feed themselves. That's what we want to see in Africa, and this is what we are fighting for. So at the AU Summit, we are going to talk about justice for Africans and people of African descent through reparations. Africa, this is your time to rise. I'll be attending the AU Summit, and I will make an address to the African heads of state and governments. It's a great honor for me to be here. Africa is on the rise. Africa is a great continent, but the greatness of Africa is being strangled by the other continents. So it is our time to fight to reclaim the greatness of Africa. And this is why we are here. We want to see our people eating well in Africa. We want to see our people having access to good healthcare services. We want to see our people having good leadership. We want to see our people eating well in Africa. We want to see our people being self-reliant. We don't want to continue relying on Europe, America, Asia, and other continents. We have everything we need in Africa here. We have the resources that the other continents lack. We have them in abundance here. So what is the problem? Why can't we use the resources that we have to build a continent? Why do we sell raw materials instead of finished products? Why do we sell coffee in raw form to Europe and America and Asia? And when they process the coffee, they sell it back to us at a very high price. Why are we doing that? If we really want to be self-reliant as Africans, we cannot continue doing things the same way. Things have to change. So I am glad that I'm here in Addis Ababa, and I'm going to meet the African heads of state and governments, and I'm going to speak to them. I am going to pose to them these questions, because we need justice. We need justice for Africans. We cannot be living as if we are second-class citizens. We are not. We are first-class people. So the time is now for Africa to rise and claim her place on the global stage. On the global stage, there's a fight for global dominance. In the words of Pierre Lumumba, Africa is food on the dinner table being eaten by the other civilizations like France, the USA, the UK, and other countries. So, we cannot afford to be living like that up to now. We need Africans to own Africa. As I speak now, Africa is being controlled by the outside continents. So we need to be very careful. The Chinese are here in Africa not for charity. They are here to serve their own interests. The Americans are here not for us. They are here for their interests. The Europeans are here not for us. They are here for their interests. You look at what is happening in America right now. When the US President Donald Trump coughs in the White House, the entire African continent goes into coma. This is crazy. This is so crazy. That means we don't have control of our own affairs. The entire African continent is crying like a little baby. Come on. This is a sign that we lack leadership in the continent. And I'm glad I'm going to meet these so-called leaders here in Addis Ababa. And I'm going to pose to them these questions. For how long shall we continue living like this in Africa? For how long shall we continue politicking when there's no leadership? How can we expect to grow as a continent and claim our place on the global stage when we are being governed by the outside continents. This cannot work up to now. No, we need to be in control of our own affairs. We need to be in control of our destiny, because our sovereignty as Africans is our own. It cannot be determined by other continents. No. Every year in September, African presidents travel to New York at the UN General Assembly, and they make hollow speeches. Year in, year out, they make hollow speeches when nothing is done. This is hypocrisy. We don't want that anymore. We want real change in Africa. We want leadership, not politics. We live in an Africa in which we live by chance and die by design. I look forward to an Africa in which we will live by design and die by chance. This Africa is what we are fighting for. This Africa is Africa in which that little boy struggling for school fees in Bangui can wake up knowing he has a future. This is Africa in which that single mother in northern Uganda struggling to take care of her children can have hope for a better future. This is the Africa in which that little girl in South Africa who thinks she has no future can one day wake up knowing she can have a future. This is the Africa we are fighting for. The Africa in which the people in detention are assured of being taken to court. The Africa in which businessmen and women are sure of free movement of goods and services. I wonder why up to now an African has to pay a lot of money for a visa to enter an African country. I don't understand this. What is the African Union doing? What is the AU doing? When I read the Agenda 2063, I see very beautiful aspirations. This agenda was formulated in 2013. This is 2025. 12 years later, we are yet to see real progress in the implementation of the Agenda 2063. Then what are we really doing? In the agenda, aspiration number 4 says, by 2020, by 2020, the guns will be silent in Africa. By 2020, the guns will be silent in Africa. Oh, Africa, this is 2025. You tell me, between 2013 and 2025, how many coups have taken place in Africa? Between 2020, the end with the guns was supposed to be silent, and today, 2025, how many coups have taken place in Africa? The African Union is in the ICU. The African Union needs serious treatment. The African Union Commission must wake up. I hope they are going to get a better chairperson than His Excellency Muhammad Faki. Because we need real leadership in the AU Commission. We cannot afford to be making hollow speeches while no work is being done. We need an African Union Commission that will make sure the African heads of state and governments fulfill their responsibilities to build the Africa we want. How shall we achieve the Africa Agenda 2063 when we are governing Africa by hypocrisy? So fellow Africans, I am glad to be in Addis Ababa. I will go to the AU summit and speak to the African presidents about the need to build the Africa that we want. And I will pose to them the questions that demand urgent answers. Because we need change in Africa. As I travel across Africa, I am amazed by what I see in different countries. I went to Accra, Ghana, and I visited the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And I was shocked to find many staff who do not even properly understand the African Continental Free Trade Area. How are they going to help Africa to implement this African Continental Free Trade Area when they don't even understand it well? Albert Einstein once said, if you can't explain it simply enough, then you don't understand it well enough. At the African Union headquarters here in Addis Ababa, you will be amazed to find very many AU staff who do not even understand the Africa Agenda 2063. And these are the very people who should help Africa to implement this agenda and realize it. Africa, what are we doing? What are we doing? There are so many staff at the AU headquarters who do not understand this Africa Agenda 2063. They have never even read the documents. And they are the people driving Africa towards the realization of that agenda. What kind of hypocrisy is this? So we are here for the AU Summit. We shall meet the presidents and pose this question to them. We want to see real change in Africa. We want to see our people empowered. We want to see peace in Africa. We want to see justice in Africa. We want to see leadership in Africa. We want to see quality education, not the colonial education that was designed to make us slaves. We don't want that. We want real change. We want a revolution in education, in health, in leadership, in agriculture, in every aspect of life. This is why we are here in Addis Ababa. We also want justice for the people of African descent who were exploited by the outside continents. These are the things African presidents are supposed to be fighting for. We want 2 African countries to be given permanent seats at the UN Security Council. How can the UN Security Council meet to discuss affairs of Africa when we are not represented there? How can that be? The African presidents, when they go to New York every year in September at the UN General Assembly, they are busy praising the leaders of the outside countries. We thank President Joe Biden. We thank President... No. We don't want that. We want permanent seats at the UN Security Council. This is what we are going to tell the African Union at the AU Summit. We are supposed to fight for this. Offering us permanent seats is not an act of charity. No. It's our right as Africans, a fundamental right. How can the other countries be meeting to discuss the affairs of Africa at the UN Security Council when we are not represented? This is crazy. I don't understand this. We must change this. We must change this. We want at least 2 permanent seats for Africa at the UN Security Council. This is what we are fighting for. President Robert Mugabe, rest in peace. President Robert Mugabe fought for this, but he lacked support from his fellow African presidents who are puppets of the Western powers. So we are here to challenge the African presidents to fight for at least 2 permanent seats at the UN Security Council for Africa. This is not an act of charity. This is a fundamental right. This is our right as Africans. We shall fight for this. So fellow Africans, as we struggle to build the Africa that we want, we need to hold our so-called leaders accountable. We need to hold them accountable. We need to hold them answerable. So fellow Africans, the time is now to fight for the Africa we want. Nobody will come from any place and build Africa for us. No one. No one. The Americans are here not to build Africa. They are here to build America. The Chinese are here not to build Africa. They are here to build China. The Europeans are not here to build Africa. They are here to build Europe using our resources. So we must guard our resources and take charge of them. We cannot afford to be losing our resources to those traitors. We must own our resources, process them, and trade with the world. When we are selling finished products, not raw materials. This requires leadership, and sometimes radical leadership, like that of President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso and the late President Joseph Pombe Magufuli of Tanzania. We need radical leadership in Africa to build the Africa that we want. Otherwise, Africa will forever remain food on the dinner table of civilization. For how long will Africa remain food on the dinner table of civilization? When shall we sit at the dinner table as diners. We have been food for too long. Africa, wake up. The AU is in the ICU. The AU needs to be sanitized. The AU needs treatment. The African Union needs proper treatment. The African Union needs resuscitation. And we are here to do that. We are here to do that. We are here to send that message to the African presidents and the leadership of the African Union. We are young Africans who want to see change in Africa. We are young Africans who want to build Africa that we want. We are young Africans who want to stop the exploitation of Africa by the other continents. This is what we are fighting for. This is a revolution which must be led by the young people. We saw what happened in Kenya, what the young people did in Kenya. The young people can cause the change we want to see in Africa. So fellow young Africans, you must rise up and show up and dive in and be in the arena of action. Do not be a spectator, be an actor. You are not born to spectate, you are born to act. So the whole world is our mission field. So let us act. Let us act to build the Africa that we want. Let us act to stop the exploitation of Africa by the other continents. Let us act to make sure Africa occupies a rightful place on the global stage. Fellow Africans, I salute you. The struggle continues. We will build Africa that we want in our lifetime. We must be asking tough questions to these presidents. We must be asking these questions, these tough questions. We demand answers for the wrong things being done in Africa by the other continents. If we don't ask, how are we going to get the answers? One of the wisest women I've ever met in my life is a little girl called Wisdom. Now this girl one time told me this profound wisdom. She said, unless I ask, I will think the answer is a no. Wow. Unless I ask, I will think the answer is a no. This is divine wisdom. Fellow young Africans, if we don't ask these tough questions, we shall not get the answers that we want. So going by the words of this wise girl, Wisdom, we need to ask these tough questions. And this is what we are here to do in Addis Ababa. We will ask tough questions. We demand answers. We are not here to please anybody. We are not here to make anyone happy. We are not here to appease anyone. We are here to send a clear message that we need Africa to occupy her place on the global stage. We don't need exploitation. We don't need global exploiters. We need global partners. People who can partner with us. We don't need patrons. We need partners. That's why we are here. So we shall continue asking these tough questions because we demand answers from the so-called leaders. So fellow Africans, let the struggle continue. We will build the Africa that we want in our lifetime. The struggle is like a relay race. You run with the baton and hand it over to another person. When it is your turn to run, run well. It is our turn to run. So let's run well before we hand over the baton to the people coming after us. So take your position, fellow African. We are here to cause change in Africa. This is a revolution being led by the young people. Let us sing the same songs. However, after singing, we must act. Because the Africa we want will not be built by mere singing, but by swinging into action. So we must sing, yes, but then after singing, we must swing into action to cause the change that we want. I love you all, fellow Africans. I salute you. Long live Africa. Long live the cradle of human civilization. Long live Africans. Job Lazarus Okello in Addis Ababa. God bless you.